Animation has been with us since over a century ago, so it's no surprise that in the internet revolution of the 21st century, animation would play such an increasingly important role in the way we experience the web. However, there are times to use animation and times to use none. We are still learning what the do's and don'ts are for this relatively new frontier. Here are 5 animation and web design do's and don'ts. Do make all animations responsive for smartphones. A lot of web browsing is done on people's smartphones. It is estimated that over 50% of internet traffic is generated via mobile devices. A useful animation on a website that won't show on a smartphone will be a disaster for the success of your website. Do use for increased interactivity. Interactivity and the internet are intrinsically linked with one another, and good subtle animation techniques help amplify this aspect of the user experience. For example, when the mouse rolls over a button and the button changes states to reflect this event, there is an inherent sense of satisfaction generated within the user. The transparency concerning the mechanics behind the navigation goes towards lubricating the journey through the website that they are browsing. Animation also tends to make elements on a page pop out at the user. If it's an element that is integral to the navigation of the site, making it animated will attract their attention to it. Do make animated elements serve a purpose. Even now, animations in web pages have an effect on loading time. Sure, it's not as bad as it was, but it's still important not to have any animations that will needlessly slow things down. If it doesn't need to be there, don't put it there. Don't go overboard. This is a mistake that was sometimes made in the early days of the new millennium. While everyone knew that restraint is a virtue, we had less of an idea of what constituted restraint in this realm. We had to learn how excessive use of animated parts within a web page can hinder the usability of the site. It often does nothing more than act as a kind of barrier, slowing down interaction, getting in the way and frustrating the user. Fortunately, it seems we have learned, and the roaring craziness of 15 years ago has been replaced with a more cautious approach. It is important that the user isn't so overwhelmed with gimmicky graphics that they lose sight of the content and message that is being communicated. If an animation is unnecessary and serves no purpose other than to look fancy, your design is better off without it. Don't use Flash. Flash was once an amazing tool that made so many more things possible in the world of web design. But Flash had the bad habit of slowing down loading times, being greedy on resources, and having serious vulnerabilities, making it easy for hackers to break into. Flash's numerous problems made it so problematic that at one point in 2015, Mozilla actually disabled the plugin on its Firefox browser. None other than Steve Jobs wrote an open letter blasting Flash and declaring that Flash wasn't allowed on any of the Apple's products. Any websites that use the Flash Player plugin won't load on your iPhone. This doesn't mean that you can't have animated elements on your website, however. Today, it is possible to make animations of varying sophistication without the result being an excruciating wait for the loading bar to finish. This is thanks to JavaScript and HTML5. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, feel free to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button.